and we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there, and we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the ban.
And that was President Trump moments after he declared a national emergency last week to divert funds to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. And as he predicted, the lawsuits have been fast and furious. More than a dozen states, led by California, claim the president's declaration is unlawful and unconstitutional. The lawsuit also says it is a flagrant disregard for the separation of powers. Mr. Trump went on the defense, slamming the legal challenge on Twitter. He said he not only predicted this would happen, but that the lawsuit was led mostly by, quote, open border Democrats. While Democrats consider their options on how to fight the national emergency declaration, a new Politico Magazine piece suggests the legal battle ahead could be a short one in the Supreme Court. Aziz Huq authored that article. He is a professor of law at the University of Chicago. Welcome, Aziz. Thank you for being with us. We heard the president say he will win the border case just like he did the travel ban case. And you write that there are parallels between the two. Can you tell us what those are?
That's right. Both the travel ban case and the wall case involve federal statutes that the president has invoked as sources of emergency authority. In both cases, the factual claim that there is an emergency rests upon what are arguably dubious foundations. And in the wall case, in the travel ban case, the court presented with evidence that the factual basis for the travel ban was inadequate, declined to invalidate the ban on that basis. So if the travel ban case is a guide, what the court will do in the wall case is to blink the problems with the president's justification for the wall emergency.
So the lawsuits, though, against the administration cite the president's own words in arguing against his wall case. So here is one line in specific. Let's listen.
I didn't need to do this.
I didn't need to do this. So how can it be a national emergency? Critics are pointing to that. You know, also, if it takes you months to declare it, how can it be a national emergency? The president's rhetoric, though, in the travel ban case was also questioned, as you pointed out. So legally, does what the president says about this matter?
I think that's the big question in the wall case. In the travel ban case, the Chief Justice, writing for the court, said, look, we're not going to look at this president. We're going to look at the institution of the presidency to determine the validity of a particular action. And if the court takes the same approach of ignoring the actual words of the president, ignoring the embarrassing lack of a factual justification for a policy, then I think the president is correct that the courts will uphold his emergency declaration.
And the president did say yesterday that the border wall lawsuit is an open and closed case as far as he's concerned. The National Emergencies Act does not define what a national emergency is. Is that the key to the president's case?
The National Emergencies Act doesn't define what an emergency is, but the statute that allows reallocation of military construction funds upon which the president relies does say that the president can only reallocate funds if certain conditions are met. So, for example, the funds have to be reallocated to some construction project that's going to be used by the military, right? That's necessary for the military, right? It's circular to say, or it's not the case here that the money is going to be used for the military. It's going to be used for border control, right? So that the issue here is not the National Emergencies Act. The issue here is that there are conditions on when military construction funds can be reallocated, and those conditions arguably haven't been met.
So how then will the court rule in the president's favor, do you think?
Well, the court will say, if the court takes this route, and we don't yet know exactly what the courts are going to do. What the court would say is, look, it's just not up to us to determine that the factual conditions that require or that allow the president to use this emergency power are or are not satisfied. There are many other cases in which presidents have invoked authorities that depend upon certain conditions being met. And courts are always loath to second-guess those national security or emergency determinations by the president.
So who then will be the real winner of this litigation? It certainly won't be Congress. Will it be the president or the office of the presidency?
At least as the complaints go that have been filed so far, I think that there's a good chance that they will end up being resolved in the run-up to the 2020 election, and the resulting decision is going to become a talking point in that election. I think that one possibility is that the president will use a decision in his favor as a rallying cry for his base. It's also possible that whoever his opponent is in 2020 will similarly use a defeat in the courts as a lever to mobilize their base. And we'll just have to see who's more successful under those conditions.
Very, very interesting. Aziz Huq, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me on.